Hello, this is Brian once again from Pathfinding Games to talk to you about Littlevale. So in this update, I'm going to talk about writing the new general animal controller script that I talked about in the previous video. I did that right after making that video. So that's over here. I'm also going to talk about debugging issues that came up with the pathfinding system that I had shown in a previous video and fixing those and getting the game working a little bit better. And then I also added in some UI pages, some new UI stuff, notification system for the players, some new sprite art, and also added in finally an outfit store and a salon so you can change up your look once you're playing the game. But let's get into it. We're going to start with the animal script. So as you can see in this old scripts folder here, we have the new animal controller I just wrote, and then in the past I had a different controller for each animal type. And that was a bit of a pain in the butt. I was just copying and pasting the controller and changing a few things to modify the animal's behavior. So I want just a general script that is here, which can take in some public variables I can set in the interface of the game, the Unity interface, I should say. And then that will help differentiate the animal behaviors and have them do their own thing. So this script is pretty much copied and pasted the cat controller script, which was pretty much copy and pasted the cow controller script. With some changes made. The reason I used the cat controller is it had a couple extra behaviors already coded in that the other animals didn't have yet. So in the general script, we take in these public variables. So in this case, the default animal it's based on is the cat, since I was the cat controller. So we can specify the string, like the name of the animal or the animal type, as well as when it wants to go to bed, when it wants to wake up, how much food it needs to eat, what livestock product it makes, if any. And so this would apply to cows and sheep and chickens, the type of food it wants to find when it looks for food. So cats look for a pet food bowl, whereas like sheep and cows look for grass in the field. And then which doors it can walk through. So your cats and dogs can walk through the doors of your house freely and any gates on your property. But the livestock cows and sheep can only walk through barn doors. So that way you can build a pen around them with a fence gate or other types of doors, and they won't be able to walk through it, and you can keep them sort of penned where you want them. And then we have the actual sort of behavior things. Now, right now, there's, apart from seeking food and finding a bed at night, there's only 3 other behaviors. Either idling in place, wandering, where they'll just walk to a random tile, or napping, and they'll just do that in place. They won't look for a bed for that. And so these variables determine which they do. So it generates, on every frame that they're not doing something, it generates a random number. And then it looks to see, is that number lower than this, divided by like 5,000, because I just found that worked for producing the right behaviors. And so it'll be looking, is it below this number? And if it is, do that behavior. So the first behavior it tries is wandering. And then if it's not below that, it checks, okay, is it below this next behavior? So napping. So this number actually has to be higher than this one. This doesn't, this being 5 and 10 means they're both as likely to happen. If this was like 5 and 8, they'd be less likely to nap and more likely to wander, stuff like that. But this doesn't mean they're twice as likely to nap. It's just because of the way I'm checking the numbers. And then, the amount of time they'll nap for, the bed that they look for at night. So cats and dogs will look for either a pet bed or a person's bed, and will sleep in that. Livestock will search for a hay pile, which is or livestock animal bed. And then finally, I added in these coordinate restrictions that restrict where they're allowed to move. So for the players, this is the default for the players' animals, which are the coordinates of the farm. But this means I can have animals that are owned by other NPCs and live elsewhere on the map, and I can just change these coordinates, and they'll stick to that part of the map I want them to stay in. So I could give someone a pet cat and have it stay in their house type of thing. And then going into the scripts, as I said, it's pretty much the old controller script, but I really thinned out some things and fixed some problems I had from it. So the first one is movement. Right here we have one nice little movement script that is dealing with the movement. It just checks, is it moving? Do it. Otherwise, actually check all the other behavior stuff and do that. Whereas in the old system, I had tons of different movement. Like anytime I needed to move for a different thing, I had a movement thing. So if they needed to, in this case, walk to grass, well, that should say walk to food. I just didn't change it from the cow script. We move there. But then also, oh, we need to move down here. Oh, there's the exact same code for movement. And oh, there it is again. And I talked about this last time. So I got rid of all the extra ones and just put one in the game. So that way we don't have overlapping code. And if I needed to change it, I only change it in one place. But then it goes through your standard stuff, all the different behaviors from before they could do, as well as modifying some things. And so let's see that in action. I put some animals on the farm. These will not be in your starting game, but here they are. This error is it just looking for the music player, which is actually generated in the open screen, the game open screen, which therefore doesn't exist if you just start the game up inside the actual game world. But so the animals all try to go to sleep. We can give them little pets. Oh, look at our little clique guy. But you can see, so the cat and dog look for the indoor, like the pet bed and the human bed, and the chicken found a hay pile. The sheep is screwed. He gets just stuck outside. So if we go to sleep, they'll wake up around 9. I currently have them all wake up at the same time, and you can see the first thing they want to do is eat. This cat's taking a nap. We have a little frame drop there, not sure what happened. And then the animals are running about. So the sheep is looking for food there, eating some grass. Oh, nope, fell asleep. Chicken's eating some grass and that. So we're able to differentiate their behaviors a bit. And we can still move them around and push them around. So that brings me to the other changes that I had to do for the animal controllers. Going into the player controller, anytime I was interacting with an animal before, like so in this pet function, before it was looking for a cat controller or a dog controller, and it was two separate things. Now I can just grab the animal controller and set it up, grabbing the pet's name and just showing you the various error messages that can show up. And I just have the function that now just has one set of code to deal with all of it. For milking a cow, instead, we look at the animal controller and grab that, give your error messages, and shearing sheep. Just because those ones have some specific things, like when milking a cow, you have to be holding a milk jug. When shearing a sheep, you have to be holding shearing scissors. And then the other place that came in was in the check movement script. You could push your animal, as you just saw me do. So before, it was grabbing, like, each animal would have its separate thing. If you hit it, it would then do the push animal in the cow controller. Okay, if it's a dog, do it in the dog controller. Now I just have this 2 lines of code. If it's an animal, go the animal controller. Nice and easy. As well, I had to make those changes in the save game script, whereas before I was saving all the different animals separately with their own controllers. Now we just check, okay, we have, if it's any of the animals, so if the ID, the object type, is any of the animal name, save the data just from the animal controller, and they all save in the exact same format. Actually, in this case, that's loading it. Saving it is up here. So we save the data, and that works just fine. However, if anyone's got a previous version of the game, I think there's only one person who has been playing a previous version where they might own an animal. They are not going to be able to load their game. I didn't put any backup code to basically tell it to look for the other types of controllers or skip the animals in loading if they don't have an animal controller. So it'll just error out when that person tries to save or load the game. But they can just make a new save. It's only one person at this point actually playing this thing. So that's working nicely. Now, as you saw though, let's unpause the game. When you go to sleep in this game, time just speeds up. Unlike Stardew Valley, where you go to bed at night and you just wake up in the morning and the game sort of just resets the game world. In this one, nope, time speeds up. So everything has to move really fast while you're sleeping. Well, that led to some fun little errors I hadn't even noticed before because I didn't have all these animals on the property when I was testing. So the reason I was getting these errors, like the animals would go to eat and just eat and eat and eat, and they wouldn't stop. So if we go over to the new animal, or actually let's look at the old animal controller script to show you sort of what the code was looking like. We can sort of find that stuff. So I was using something like this behavior delay. If it wanted to check something, it would check, okay, have we got, or not the behavior delay, sorry, this hunger weight or something. So the hunger weight was calculating and ticking up. So you can see hunger weights has this time dot delta time as the function of how it's calculating. So that is the time between frames. And it was adding that and move. And then once it hit a certain value, it would then trigger the code. And the same thing with eating. We have an eat delay in here somewhere. Sorry, it's a lot of code to look through. We have a recalculate delay, which is just getting the time.delta time and all that. The problem with that is once the game was sped up, is that time.delta, that 1 second in real life that it might be trying to calculate, which was 1 minute in the game, was now 1 hour in the game. And so the behaviors were just getting all muddled up. So what I decided to do instead is, if we look at when we set the eating value, so it's not under check food. That is under check tile when they actually get to the tile they're supposed to be to eat. So the recalculate delay, instead what I do is I grab the integer value of the current time, and I just add the amount of time I want them to do the behavior for in minutes. So when they eat, I want them to eat for 3 minutes, so it just adds that. Then when we're checking if they're eating the food or going to their, we're still sleeping here. So much code. So if they're actually eating, it just checks, is the clock's current time greater than that value we saved? And if so, then trigger the function you need. So this way we're not worried about how much time is occurring between frames. Like once the clock hits that point in its calculation, it then goes. So everything is now in the animal controller is now synced to the clock itself. I also had to make those types of changes for the NPCs, but they were already mostly clock-based dependent in checking their schedules, but there's a couple places I had to do it there. But that solved that problem. So now when the game speeds up, their behaviors, like the amount of time it takes their behaviors, all speed up with it. And so they're working nicely now, and you saw they were all sped up, and now they're back to normal speed, and it looks great. Alright, so that's it for the animal controller update. Now, the other issue I ran into, and if we pause the game and look here, you can see I have it still drawing the pathfinding grid. Now, I had this fun thing. When I was testing this, I would save the game sort of at the start after talking to Wilbur, and then quickly run inside, like have the character go to sleep, just to quickly check things that would occur right at 9 a.m. in the game when the animals wake up. And so I made a save game right before that. When I was loading that game, the game would then instantly just freeze for several seconds. And it was one of the NPCs trying to pathfind, and it was just failing. Absolutely failing to pathfind, and it was just trying over and over again, which was taking up all the game's resources and causing a huge amount of lag. And what I had found is, it was up here actually, is when I saved the game, it turns out that one of the NPCs was standing right in this doorway. And when I saved the game, and it was marking that tile, when I was loading the game, they were standing right in that doorway, and that tile was marked as unpassable. And then when I loaded the game, I wasn't actually recalculating the pathfinding grid. So it was just assuming this tile was still full, even though the NPCs were then loaded back into their bedroom here. And so they were trying to path out of this room and couldn't see a way out because the only door was marked as blocked. And that took literally just one line of code to fix. If we go into the load game, the saving and loading, at the bottom of the load game, where did I put that line of code? Probably right here. Sorry, that's this line. It just goes to the pathing object and redraws the grid when you load the game. That fixed that problem, and we were good to go. And so that was fixing that. But then I started getting issues later in the game. Like if I would make the character just sleep through the day to watch all the animals sped up and see how their behaviors played out throughout a full day or two of in-game. And suddenly after 12 in-game hours of sleeping, a bunch of NPCs were having trouble pathing. They just couldn't get where they were going. And it was this funny thing where when the game was sped up, the pathing or the NPC movement would overshoot tiles. They would just because they'd be trying to move so fast, they'd overshoot where they're trying to go, and then they'd path back and overshoot. And it was not properly clearing and which tiles were passable and not. And I was sitting there thinking, how can I solve this? So the first thing I tried was to redraw that path grid every 1 second or so of real time. And that way it would just clear out any tiles that were actually passable that the NPCs forgot to mark as I'm not in this tile anymore. But that's kind of inefficient. It works fine on my computer, which is a decently powerful rig, but I figure if somebody's playing this on an ultra portable laptop or something, they're going to have a lot of trouble with that. It's going to slow their computer down. And so the next solution I was considering was, okay, just make it so NPCs can path through each other and not mark the grid as unpassable in the tiles they're in and passable once they've moved out of them. But I didn't really like that. I want the NPCs to have to run into each other, like to have to path around each other and block each other. So then the solution was actually pretty simple of fix the movement. So when I'm sleeping, the NPC shouldn't be overshooting tiles and marking the wrong tiles as impassable versus passable. So if we look at the NPC movement, and again, this is similar to the animals, once we actually have them where... Oh, sorry, I think I shot below it. We have to find where they move. Right here. Here it is. So if we look at the NPC movement, so this one is just below it because I wrote this before. We have this thing of, we're using, again, the time delta time to tie the amount of movement into the frame rate. So that way, if somebody's frame rate's a little slower, the NPCs aren't suddenly moving slower or slower based on the fact that it was only look at their movement speed. We take into account the time between frames. And all I had to do to fix their movement and get them to stop overshooting tiles if the frame rate gets too slow and their movement speed set to quite high while you're sleeping, which would make this value go well over 1 and they'd overshoot, like they'd move more than 1 tile, is just this. If the amount they're supposed to move is more than 1, just make it 1. And that way they will land on the next tile they're supposed to. The next frame, it will then trigger off that they're in the correct tile, it will round off their position, and it will properly update the grid in the correct location of this is now an impassable tile. And it won't do it in the wrong spot. So boom, that's it. Just this 2 lines of code, an easy fix after like 2 days of muddling about trying to figure out how to get this pathing to clear and work. And now, as you saw, we spent a good chunk of the day sleeping, and it's all been going pretty fine. We're not really getting lagging. Now, if we go to scene view, we can see all the various pathfinding scripts show up in white here. Those are just tiles they're evaluating. Everyone's pathing around just fine. People are making it home. Everyone's going to sleep. It's not really lagging up. And they're blasting around town quite quickly. You can see them from their little microphones, their sound emitters, and a couple little debug things. But boom, we make it through the day, and that's working. So if you are to play this game now, or if you were to play it from the version I released after the last update, yeah, that pathfinding script was not working well. It was a little bit broken because when you went to sleep. So now that's all fixed. All right. So a couple other updates, as you saw from this animal controlling. I just have to add in this one tiny little egg script, which stores the egg quality. If you remember from the previous update where I was talking about calculating the quality of items, which was a fairly new function, which took in your skill value, but it could also take in what I called this care value. But in this case, it's like the quality of ingredients used when you're cooking. In the case of animal products, I wanted it to be how happy the animal is will help increase the quality of the items. So the better you take care of your animals, the better chance of them producing a high quality milk or wool or eggs. So in the case of sheep and cows, that was pretty easy to do because when you go to milk them, it grabs that controller script right off the animal. And then so all I need to do was calculate the quality from the happiness and your skill value there, and you get a quality. So it removes the milk canister and then gives you the milk with the quality properly calculated using that happiness. But for chickens, that was slightly difficult because the chickens will lay an egg during night on their bed, wherever they're sleeping, and then you go collect that in the morning. So this egg script is just a little script that's attached to the actual egg object that's laid. If we find the egg here, right here. So it's just a little object here, and all it does is has a variable to store that happiness of the animal, which I just called the quality variable on the egg because that's what it influences. And so for the animal controller, in the case of chickens, so it checks if it is a chicken, so at 6 a.m., if the conditions are right, lay the egg, and then just set the quality of the egg to whatever the animal happiness is. And boom, that quality is then able to be transferred into the player when you pick it up. It then can check that quality value from the egg, which is done somewhere in this code it's hiding, and add that to the quality. So that was just another little thing I did for the animals, because I realized once I was adding the animal script to the chicken, which I did after some of the pathfinding changes, that, yeah, I had to figure out a way for the animal happiness to affect the egg quality, and that's it. Just this little tiny script that stores one variable. But it does the job, and it's reasonably efficient. Alright, so the next update, we got some UI updates, so let's start the game again. I just wanted to get the everything reset. So we have another page, which is the livestock page. So if we go up here, the livestock page here, finally it exists. So it tracks the animals you own and how happy they are. So right now, because we just started the game, we don't know how, like, they have no happiness. However, let's pet our puppy here. And then let's give our little kitty a pet too. We gotta be nice to all our pets. And we'll go over, and we can see we have a little tiny chunk of happiness has been generated for those guys. So this has gone up a little bit. And then, so in the case of your pets, in the future I'll probably have their behaviors change based on how happy they are, make them more likely to, say, follow you around the farm once I've coded that behavior in. How likely they are to, say, want to play. Again, I haven't coded in the ability to play yet, but that's the plan. And then for livestock, as this happiness increases, as I mentioned, the quality of the items they produce increases. But yeah, so we actually have a UI page for that now. The other UI update is I put a little art on these icons, finally, so they look a little bit nicer. Again, mining has not been introduced to the game yet, but I needed 5 skills to fill out this page, and I do plan on adding in mining to the game, so that skill will apply, and I'll make the art for it once I do. But yeah, we have some nice artwork, so that's looking a little bit nicer. I still haven't added in this recipes page of the UI yet. I've got to do that in the future. But that can wait. Oh god. So, we have to pick that up. Get out of my way. You just saw a hint of what's next. So the other thing I did is, if you just saw it when I picked up that food dish, is that little notification window. So I put some carrots here so you can see. If I pick that carrot, boom, we get a little notification window above your head to show you got a new item. And that actually takes into account the quality of the item. So if we find the player over here who was hiding, and we set our farming skill to the maximum, when I pick up an item, you can see that I get higher quality items, and that notification shows up too. So that's just a little, little quality improvement. Doesn't change the game much, but it's just a nice indicator of what you picked up. And if we go through our items, you can see, there's the food bowl I picked up. You can see the carrots we picked up and the different qualities. So we have that little UI thing, couple nice little changes. Now, of course, the other update, which I hinted about and you've been able to see a bit, let's get rid of this, is player outfits. So if you've seen the first look video, you've seen that your outfits and hair can be changed when you're creating your character at the start of the game. Now, I'd wanted to also make it so that you could change them in the game. You could buy new clothing, and you could change your hairstyle, and I finally coded that in. So the first thing I had to do, and actually, do we have the script here? We do not. Let's open that. Let's go into the scripts. Is now we have an object type. Here it is, the outfit script. The outfit item, which is just a class of item, which stores an identification number for the, or name for the outfit, as well as the 2 colors that are assigned to it. And so that allowed me to have a single list in the player scripts. Now, where did I save that? Up here, of those outfits. So that way, you can own multiple outfits. You don't just buy one. Like, it's not like a rental system where you rent an outfit and then as soon as you get a new one, boom, your old one's gone. No, what I want is for you to be able to buy outfits and then keep them, and to be able to change your outfit whenever you want. So I have this list of those outfits, which again, it just takes the ID and the colors, and then just an index integer, which tells the game which of the outfits in that list you are currently wearing. And so then I just need a change outfit script here, which then just takes the ID of your outfit and sets that to the actual player preference for your outfit. So the player prefs are where I actually store which is what is currently being worn. And then we set the colors in there. And then we just load the sprites again, which gets rid of the old sprites and then sets the new sprites. Again, it's based on the player preference. Whatever value you have set there is the one it's going to load. So this allows you to quickly change the outfit. So if you fire this off, you can change it. So let us go into the game. We'll unpause that. So I made the store up and to the left here. Let us go find it. Now I still have to do a lot of sprite art for the store and make the roof, but this is where it's going to be. So if we go here, we have this shop, and we can see I've only made the 5 outfits available for women and 5 for men so far. I can't have them overlap because the sprites are different sizes. So if you try to apply the outfit to an outfit from one gender to the other, the sprite sheets do not line up. So if I do plan like any outfits, I can make it. I'd have to remake the sprite sheet from the female outfits to fit males, which is fine, and I plan on doing that. But for now, they do have to be separate just because of the sprite art. But yeah, we can do that. We can change the color of the top of the outfit. We can change the color of the bottom of the outfit. We can pick which one we like. Actually, that's kind of cute. And then if we press space, we buy that outfit, and we're immediately changed into it. So boom. We can buy some more outfits. So let's say we want this dress. I like that dress. Ooh, cool gray. And let's see. Doesn't look as good with the green. Yeah, let's go with the pink. I like that. Boom. So now we have a couple outfits. Let's run back to the farm. So the item I made, so you can change your outfits, you can't do it anytime. You have to be standing by your dresser. So here's a little dresser object I put on the farm. Here, let's stand above it. If I press the E key next to it, it will just cycle through outfits. That's instead of having a UI interface that shows you the outfit that you select from, which would be a bit of a pain in the butt to code and make the art for and all that. You just press E while next to it, and you'll cycle through those owned outfits in that list. So that's working. You know, it's not as cool as having an interface for it, but it's a heck of a lot easier to make. So if we go into the player script, that's just done in the update. Under the E key, which we have to find the E key. So there's X, here's E. So if we go to E, there's all the different things the E key can interact with. So we have the dresser here. And all it's doing is it's checking, is this a dresser on your property, first of all? So it's one of your dressers. You can't go changing your outfits at someone else's house because your clothes won't be there. It just advances the outfit index, makes sure that that's within the range, and if not, it sets it back to the beginning at 0, and then it does that little change outfit function from above. And so that little script here just instantly cycles your outfits anytime you want. The outfit store here, actually, so this is what's opening that UI. The UI, it's pretty much the same as the previous ones I've discussed. The code for it had to be based on, it's not open, based on the shopping script, but it had a few changes. So it's taking in, so we have at the top all these public variables, and that's the various parts of the interface. So the different outfits on the left, you can see, you can scroll through and where those icons are. The color icons, which ones are selected, all that fun stuff. And then the controls, and then finally how you actually purchase it. Right now, all the outfits cost the same. They're $500 each. At some point, I will put in a list that will track the actual costs of different outfits, so different ones can be more expensive or less expensive. But right now, the only things available are those starting default outfits I've made so far. So they can all be the same price, but that's where I'm setting that. Otherwise, though, if you don't want to purchase it, there's a way you can just close it. And then the ones that adjust the colors. And basically, anytime you move something, the way these UI scripts I've made work is they just redraw themselves. And so it erases all of the images, and then it redraws in with whatever the new icons are that it needs, and that works just fine. It's pretty quick and easy. So we have outfits. So I figured that was a very nice little improvement. And of course, the other one I mentioned is our hairstyles. So I needed a salon. So again, we have that new outfit UI. We also have a salon UI. Let's go running there. We're going straight back to where we were. The in-game idea is that the outfit store and salon are run by a brother and sister, and they decided to just like buy up an old building together and split it one half into the salon and one half into the clothing store. Oh, that door's facing the wrong way. Gotta fix that. So at the salon, again, we have the same type of thing. We have the UI where you can scroll through the different available hairstyles. So I like that one. And then you can like change the color. As simple as that. Now with the hair, because it's your hairstyle. Actually, let's make it white hair. That's kind of cool. Boom. Our hairstyle immediately changes. Now with the hair, we're not storing old styles of hair because, you know, with a haircut, you don't keep your old hair in a drawer. And you're not buying wigs. So it immediately changes. Anytime you want to change your hair, you just have to come here. You'll get a preview of the various new hairstyles you can change into, and then you can change to like whatever color you want. Let's make us a redhead, and boom, our hair instantly changes. So we can change our look up anytime we want. So again, that's pretty similar. So this one, again, also needs its own script because the interface is a bit different. So we have a salon script. There's the salon. That again is very similar to the outfit store script. It just has a couple slight differences in how it redraws the interface because there's only the one color, not the two. And then, you know, when you're purchasing at the price, so it's $200 to change your hairstyle up. And otherwise, though, it's pretty much the exact same script as the outfit store. But yeah, so that's working. So we have in-game character customization finally. Now I have to make some sprite art for the. Oh yeah, let's just close that. Make some sprite art for this. I have to fix this door because it's facing the wrong way, so that this doesn't look like just an empty block. I mean, we at least have a couple of nice little salon desks here, which are from the theater. But I still have to make like the salon chairs and make that all pretty. But we're getting there. So for that. With the hairstyle, once you've changed it, like when you save the game, your hairstyle is saved. Whatever your current hairstyle is saved. With the outfits, though, because we now have a whole list of those, I did have to add that into the save game file, which just as a list of outfits. So that's here. So we save in. It's the exact same as the player list. We just save the outfits, and we save the outfit index. And so when we're saving the game, that thing has disappeared. Somewhere in the top here, it goes through the outfit list right here, and it saves into the outfit list the information for the outfit. So the ID, the first color, the second color, and then when it's loading it, it will then create a new outfit using that parsed data, and boom, you've got yourself. The outfits are saving and loading just fine. So after that, the last thing I did for this update is started making the next NPC, Hector. So he is the town's hairdresser. He is a flamboyantly gay Latino. Should be a lot of fun to write the script for him and get him integrated. He's not in the game yet, but I did do the sprite art. So here's his character portrait and his little sprite sheet. So he should be a fun little addition to the game. But I still haven't put him in yet. I've got to make his house. I don't know where he's going to live yet, where I'm going to put his house. But he works here in the salon. And he should be in the game in the next few days. So yeah, that is my update for the last couple weeks. If you made it this far, thank you for watching and supporting me. Consider supporting me on Patreon. And of course, subscribing to this channel. Have a good one.